There's a lot of things that I will say are in bad faith. The word embarrassing is the only word I can use to describe what this article is.
Well, it's another day in the WNBA, which means another low blow at Caitlin Clark fans.
Surprise, surprise!
Yep, at this point, reporting on Caitlin Clark and her fans getting hated on is like reporting that water is wet. But these latest jabs, they're next level. Possibly the most ridiculous yet. And of course, it's about pigment. Now, we've had some real gems on that front already. But now, get this. In a new piece in The Guardian, Caitlin's fans, especially those in Middle America, are getting called out for cheering for her more than they cheer for Paige Beckers. That's right, you won't believe some of the talking points. Just when you think you've heard it all, it gets worse. And with Caitlin about to absolutely dominate this year, both on the court and in the ratings, you have to wonder, how bad is it going to get, and when will it end? I've got to ask because this wasn't the only time Caitlin Clark's fans, especially those in the Midwest, were singled out over the past week. ESPN analyst Monica McNutt made jaws drop when explaining the reasons behind the Caitlin Clark effect to the BBC. I've got that clip coming up as well. Stick around because I'm going to break it all down. Before we get into it, do you think this will end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And like this video if you're ready for Caitlin to absolutely dominate this season and send the haters to the corner to cope. Okay, so this kind of thing, the tearing down of Caitlin isn't new. It's been happening before day one of her pro career. She came in with sky-high hype after a record-breaking college career with Iowa, where she set scoring records, had epic 40-point March Madness performances, you name it. She dragged a mid-team to the national title game twice, destroyed NCAA viewership records, and became a household name. When she entered the WNBA, she was poised to set viewership records at the pro level. And yet, even though this would be amazing news for the WNBA's growth, some of the old guard didn't seem thrilled by all the attention this 22-year-old was getting, even if it benefited the league.
But I do think there was at least a hint of UConn speaking in Diana's assessment, just a hint.
She's competitive.
She's extremely competitive, and I think she feels some rivalry with all the attention that Caitlin has gotten that she didn't get coming out of UConn when she put up equally staggering numbers, maybe not all-time greatest numbers.
That right there was referencing Diana Taurasi saying that reality is coming for Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Did she say they wanted her to fail? Not exactly. But the message was simple. You're not playing against college kids anymore. Whatever you did in the NCAA, don't expect to replicate it here in the W. And while you can agree or disagree with Skip on a lot of things, many feel he was on the money when referring to the jealousy of Caitlin's attention. It was like WNBA players needed to establish that Caitlin's accomplishments didn't mean anything, that the hype was just that, hype, and perhaps they wanted her to stumble. Because if Caitlin succeeded in the WNBA and lived up to the hype, it would be proven justified, and egos would be bruised. Unfortunately for them, Caitlin did live up to the hype, and then some.
Bonner gets denied by Boston. Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
She walked into the league and immediately started breaking records. She shattered the WNBA rookie record for assists, dropped more points as a rookie than anyone ever, became an all-star starter, won Rookie of the Year all but unanimously, and even finished fourth in MVP voting as a rookie. She led the Indiana Fever from the basement to the playoffs. She was must-see TV every night. Yeah, she earned the hype. She also boosted the league's profile in ways we've never seen. For the first time in a long time, people who never gave the WNBA a second glance were tuning in. That's great for everyone, right? The haters would surely back off, right?
Of course not.
They just got louder.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what? 20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5
That's crazy.
5.6
Those are
turnovers,
hell of
too.
a number.
Those are hell of a numbers.
rookie.
But to me, that's not
Period.
dominating.
Yeah, it's only not dominating because she's a rookie.
As Caitlin's profile grew, so did the jealousy and nitpicking from the peanut gallery. I could make an entire separate video just listing the petty jabs thrown at her. As her rookie season went on, we heard it all. Long story short, they picked at her stats, said she wasn't dominating, and downplayed her impact, lumping her together with other young stars like Angel Reese when crediting the WNBA's massive popularity spike, as if it wasn't clear that Caitlin was the one driving the interest. And when all else failed, they brought up melanin levels. According to some folks out there, the only possible reason Caitlyn was drawing huge crowds and viewership had to be about, visual preference, because God forbid it's her talent or exciting style of play, right?
He literally said, and she's like, why is there such a big crowd? I mean, Caitlin Clark and the Fever come to town. Whenever Caitlin Clark and the Fever come to town, we're going to sell out.
Fast forward to now, as we approach her second season, teams around the league are literally upgrading arenas and adjusting their ticket packages to capitalize on her star power. And the TV networks? They're putting 41 out of 44 Fever games on national broadcast. That's basically every game. Unprecedented. And yeah, the claws are fully out. The jealousy is on full display. Some players are publicly grumbling that other teams deserve more national TV games. This is what Nafisa Collier had to say about it.
To not have the defending champs on TV more, I think it's kind of crazy.
There are even fans from opposing teams threatening to boycott games against the Fever, apparently upset that their team is focusing promotions around Caitlyn, or that they have to play in a bigger arena to fit all her fans. The good old cut off your nose to spite your face approach. Nice. And when you thought you'd heard it all, we now have this. A new piece from The Guardian titled, "Why Hasn't America Given Paige Beckers the Caitlyn Clark Treatment?" Written by former NBA player Eaton Thomas, lists all the supposed reasons why Caitlyn Clark is more popular than Paige Beckers, and, shocker, it's the R word. In his view, Middle America are unfairly neglecting Paige because she is more outspoken on social justice issues and because Caitlyn had Angel Reese, the villain, to play off against. I wish I were kidding. This is where we're at. Okay, so according to this article, Paige made Middle America uncomfortable by speaking up for those who are, according to her, underrepresented in the media. So they abandoned her and ran to cheer for the less political Caitlyn Clark. That's the theory. A lot of this stems from the 2021 ESPYs, when Paige was named College Athlete of the Year and called out bias in the media. Here's what she said.
That I have now, as a white woman who leads a black-led sport and celebrated here, I want to show a light on black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve. They've given so much to this sport and the community and society as a whole.
So the idea is that because Paige did this and continued to be vocal, some fans in Middle America weren't as into her afterward. First of all, how much is some? Is it 50%? 1.2%? Is it 16 people or 3 million? When you write an article about it, the implication is that it's a significant enough group to move the needle. So, I'll assume he's talking about enough fans to create an obvious imbalance in support between Caitlyn and Paige, which would be a lot of Americans. Let me know with a check or an X in the comments if you think that's a fair assumption. Anyway, here's the thing. Caitlyn Clark has been plenty supportive of players past and present, regardless of their pigment, and she's done it on a bigger stage.
What? That's actually pretty cool. However, I think it's really discounted that Caitlyn Clark, right before she entered the WNBA, did go on Saturday Night Live and did also recognize all of the amazing black athletes that came before her.
I hope you have a great first season.
Thanks. I'm sure it will be a big first step for me. But it's just one step for the WNBA. Thanks to all the great players like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, the great Dawn Staley, and my basketball hero, Maya Moore. These are the women that kicked down the door so I could walk inside. So I want to thank them tonight for laying the foundation.
Speaking of giving flowers, you even have Lisa Leslie, WNBA royalty, who knows a thing or two about the sport's history, acknowledging that Caitlyn has always paid respect.
And I love that. I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that. So I just don't, again, I don't know what the big deal is about the fact that Caitlyn is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this game just as a lot of other players have.
Lisa basically noted how Caitlyn is constantly giving credit to the greats who came before her. Caitlyn goes out of her way to show love to legends of the game. She always has. And she's genuine about it. And then you've got the Time Magazine Athlete of the Year interview where she made her most social justice-y statement ever. Guess what? Everyone and their golden retriever heard about that one. And even after that, she's still selling out 15,000 tickets to preseason games. Did she lose some people along the way? Sure. But it clearly wasn't enough to erase the enthusiasm gap between Caitlyn and Paige. Caitlyn's popularity continues to rise. So yeah, that's not the reason the majority of people support or don't support Caitlyn. Strike one. On to the next brilliant insight. Thomas claims that Paige hasn't gotten as much attention and adoration from Middle America because she lacked a villain like Angel Reese to compete against. Yes, we're talking about the whole Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese saga from the 2023 NCAA Championship. Buckle up for this one. The article suggests that after the 2023 title game, when LSU beat Iowa, and LSU star Angel Reese famously did the "you can't see me" taunt and pointed at her ring finger toward Caitlin, a certain segment of fans rallied behind Caitlin because of that incident. Not because Caitlin dropped 30 points or had an incredible tournament, but because they supposedly wanted to cheer for one color over another. Yikes. He's basically painting a picture of a bunch of fans foaming at the mouth, using the on-court rivalry as an excuse to express their hatred. And, he says, Paige never had this kind of antagonist, and therefore no manufactured culture war storyline to get certain fans riled up. And then, he says the fact Paige hasn't had that dynamic means she's gained less attention from Middle America, which says a lot about the state of the country, in his opinion. In other words, America needed this kind of conflict to get invested in women's hoops. Okay, let's break down reality. First of all, not all Caitlin Clark fans are the same or from one region. She has global appeal. Sure, Middle America latched onto Caitlin because, she's from Iowa and played in Iowa and there's going to be some lore there. But the assumption that only Middle America embraced Caitlin is plain wrong, and frankly insulting to the diverse fan base that women's basketball has.
First of all, not all fans of Caitlin Clark are white. This is so apparent as a member of social media who interacts with a lot of Caitlin Clark fans, and so many of them are not white. It's just insulting to assume that that's the case to the people that aren't white, to the Black Americans that do love Caitlin Clark.
And then there's this. Caitlin was already a star and fan favorite before that championship game. Millions were tuning in to watch her drop 41 on South Carolina. The Angel Reese taunt wasn't the genesis of her fame. So yeah, strike two. This is where the whole thing falls apart. The whole article is predicated on the idea that Caitlin and Paige are equally brilliant players. So if one player is getting more attention, there must be hatred afoot.
How about number one to start with? She's not nearly the player that Caitlin Clark is.
Stats can lie, or at least they don't tell the full story. It's absolutely true that Paige Beckers is an incredible college player. As a freshman at UConn, she won every award imaginable. She was Naismith Player of the Year, first-team All-American. She led her team in points, assists, and steals. She was clutch. She had a silky jumper, great court vision. Paige was and is legit. No one's doubting that. But here's the thing. Sometimes two players can both be great, but one just has that extra something that captures the imagination. Caitlin is that player. Paige, as good as she is not the player Caitlin is. At least not in terms of highlight reel magnetism and sheer game-breaking ability.
There is almost zero similarities to how they play other than their position. Paige Beckers is obsessed with efficiency. Caitlin Clark plays with flair.
With Caitlin, the second she crosses half court, you're on the edge of your seat because she might pull up from the logo. She might thread a no-look pass through 3 defenders. She might drop 30 and a half. Paige's style, on the other hand, while extremely effective and smooth, is a bit more traditional. She's super efficient, a mid-range assassin, a great playmaker, but she's not regularly bombing from 30 feet or often racking up 40-point games. Paige is more about finesse and fundamentals. Caitlin is about fireworks. Sometimes it's not just about stats or who won what award. It's about style and the story unfolding on the court. Caitlin led the nation in scoring, had back-to-back 40-point games in the NCAA tournament, broke records for three-pointers made, and did it with a swagger and passion that people gravitate towards. She plays with an intensity, fist pumps, chirping at opponents, firing up the crowd, that brings entertainment value through the roof. Paige's demeanor is a bit more low-key. She's competitive, but not as outwardly fiery. That affects fan perception too. Also, frankly, Caitlin's college career was better. She didn't win a title, neither has Paige yet, but Caitlin shattered NCAA records. Paige had the advantage of being in the most famous program, UConn, whereas Caitlin had to carry Iowa on her back. In a way, that made Caitlin's accomplishments stand out more. She was a one-woman show at times. Paige was part of the UConn machine. A great part, but still. Narrative matters. The media and fans eat up the story of a lone gunslinger, more than the story of yet another awesome UConn team. Unfair to Paige? Perhaps, but that's how storytelling in sports works. And that dovetails nicely into the final point I want to make, which is really the crux of all this.
They're going to get the ball up in time. Clark for the win.
At the end of the day, the WNBA, and any sports league, isn't in the business of making sure every great player gets equal fan support. It's in the business of entertainment. Sports is a subset of the entertainment industry, whether purists like it or not. And Caitlin Clark is pure entertainment. That's the huge miscalculation all these haters and overthinkers are making when they try to reduce her popularity to identity politics. They're ignoring that fans flock to fun. Look, the NBA learned this ages ago. The league didn't explode in popularity because it made sure every efficient fundamental player got equal shine. It blew up because of electrifying stars like Michael Jordan who made you want to tune in every night. Jordan was must-watch TV because he did things no one else could, with a flair and competitiveness that was captivating. Did people care that he was hogging the spotlight while other deserving players toiled in relative obscurity? No, because watching Jordan was a thrill. Same with Kobe, LeBron, Steph Curry. Appearance doesn't matter. What matters is they are magnetic to viewers. They have it. Caitlin Clark has that same it factor in women's basketball right now. She's the show. When she steps on the court, you feel like anything can happen.
Wheeler finds Clark from the
Logo threes, triple doubles, buzzer beaters, trash talk, you name it. She brings a dynamic flair to the game that you just can't teach. You don't measure that in a box score or even in trophies. It's the ability to create moments that get people out of their seats. She is must-watch basketball. Meanwhile, you could have another player putting up solid numbers quietly, and it won't capture the public's imagination in the same way. That's not right or wrong. It's just how entertainment works. The WWE isn't popular because it's a technically fair wrestling competition. It's popular because it's scripted for maximum drama and larger-than-life characters. Reality TV isn't about reality. It's about drama that hooks viewers. Sports, luckily, is unscripted. Well, some would disagree. But the principle is the same. The more drama and excitement you inject, the more the masses love it. Caitlin delivers drama and excitement in spades. That's it. It's not a conspiracy, it's sports being sports. Fans gravitate to the more thrilling storyline. Right now, that's Caitlin. Tomorrow, it could be Paige if she, say, keeps dropping 40 points like she did the other night and leads UConn to a championship at the buzzer. But it wasn't the case the past few years. But there is something to consider in all of this.
Yeah, people are tired of it.
There are going to be fans of Caitlin or anyone else who grow tired of this argument and tune out. Sports fans especially tune in to get away from constant social commentary and division. This Guardian article was basically accusing a whole swath of fans of being biased in the worst way for supporting a player they love. How do you think that makes those fans feel? Does anyone think spitting on Caitlin Clark fans is going to win Paige more supporters? Heck no. It's going to make them defensive, angry, and less likely to even listen to legitimate points about representation because you cried wolf. Not every disparity in attention is due to some insidious bias. Sometimes it's just organic fan preference, and constantly injecting this talking point into every discussion alienates fans who just want to enjoy the game. I mean, it just keeps finding its way into the news. Remember when I mentioned that the Guardian article wasn't the only recent jab at Caitlin's fans? Here's ESPN analyst Monica McNutt explaining the Caitlin Clark phenomenon to the BBC.
I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games, but I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think, same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that she may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons, and sometimes they may not be based in all truth.
See, there it is again. She's basically saying, it's not everyone, and Caitlin Clark is amazing. But I must declare that little girls from the Midwest are only looking up to Caitlin because of color. I mean, why can't it be enough for people to like Caitlin simply because she's fun to watch? And that's the thing that gets lost in all this. The reality is many people watch sports as an escape. They work hard all week, they have stresses in life, and when they sit down to watch a game, they want to relax and be entertained, not lectured. That doesn't mean athletes shouldn't speak out on issues. They absolutely can and should when they feel compelled. But it does mean that some fans will tune out, especially if they are being accused of something horrible. So if a small subset of fans did drift from Paige after her ESPYs speech, again, unproven, but hypothetically, or tend to roll their eyes at WNBA segments that focus on social campaigns, it might be less about the topic itself and more about exhaustion. People can agree with or feel indifferent about a message and still be tired of hearing it nonstop in every arena of life. Sports is entertainment, like a movie or a concert. You don't necessarily want a lecture mixed into your superhero film either if you came for the action. At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark's popularity is earned on merit and magnetism, and Paige Bueckers will have her time to shine in the WNBA this year as the likely #1 pick. There's room for both of these phenomenal players to be celebrated. Pitting them against each other with these kinds of undertones is lazy and counterproductive. Fans want on-court drama, not this. Just put out an exciting product and let the market dictate what they want. All right, rant over. If you made it this far, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and drop a basketball in the comments to say hi. Thanks for watching.